Good day and welcome back to another DB Legends video. In this video, we're going to be taking a look at the Beast Gohan Ultra and my build for him. So, you'll see the equipment on the screen. I think it's okay equipment. Look, obviously you want to prioritize health on any PvP character, but strike damage, special damage, these are always good for Gohan. So as long as you're kind of in that ballpark, maximizing that, then you should be fine. It will depend a little bit on your team, as always, but I think for the most part you should be more than fine. Now Gohan is very good. Gohan is actually, I think, when I first saw him, there's things about him that are very, very irritating. Like, I think there's things about him that are very, very irritating, difficult to deal with, but I don't actually think he is as bad as originally thought. I don't think he's, when I say that, I mean I don't think he's as obnoxious. I think obviously he has things that are, really annoying, but I think ultimately he still has a window where you can take him out. So yeah, obviously let's talk a little bit about him. So, main ability wise, he draws his Violet Destruction Kamehameha, restores his own health, restores his own ki, destroys or nullifies enemy destroy card effects, which is great, allowing him to get off these big abilities. And of course he nullifies unfavorable element factors. Gohan, first and foremost, which I think is quite important to note, is a damage dealing character. He is not a character that exists to be really super tanky. I mean, he's got moments where he can be quite tanky, but he's not necessarily intensely tanky. In terms of his passive, he's got 200% to damage inflicted, damage reduction of 70%, reduction to impact and PS damage of 15%, 50% to key recovery, which is fine. Arts card draw speed up by 1 and -5 to strike and arts card costs, which is great. When he enters the battlefield, he'll always randomly draw one card if you have 3 or fewer, restore his own health by 15% and his own ki. Then he also gets plus 90% to damage inflicted, which will activate once, putting him up to 290%, which I think currently is the highest boost, I think, overall. He nullifies own unfavorable element factors for damage sustained. This is one of his major tanky mechanisms that allows him to not be absolutely shredded the moment he enters the battlefield. Nullifies own attribute downgrades in abnormal conditions, destroys your enemy's special arts cards, and inflicts all enemies with -40% to special power. So really, all his tankiness exists in that kind of 10-second window or 10 timer count window of him entering the battlefield, which is fine. It just gives him a window in which he is effectively actually tanky, which I think obviously is not a bad thing. It's just kind of standard. So then when he draws a special move card, he gets ki back, plus 30% to special move card, nullifies enemies card destroy effects, and cancels attribute downgrades. The big mechanisms you'll see here for him is a lot of protection around him getting off his special cards. That's because the special cards are really the big source of his damage. So they're very, very big. When he's hit with an enemy's attack, he'll restore his health, which is fine, 3%, not huge. Shorten ally substitution counters. This is so you can get him out of trouble. Remember, I said he's not super tanky. That after that first 10 timer counts expires, he can get caught. So having that protection of being able to submount is very important. And then obviously as well, if his HP is 50% or below, he will restore his health, reduce the enemy's ki by 100. That's huge. That's his big, like, okay, please stop hitting me effect. And then he seals the enemy special arts card. The huge thing is obviously his unique gauge, etc. And his cover change. He's got his cover change against strike arts. He can also combo into his special arts, which is great. But if his unique gauge is at 30% or more, he'll auto counter ultimate or awakened arts or rising rush, and that's big. That's very big for Gohan. Obviously, countering rising rush is huge. Everyone knows Goku and Goku and Frieza were big for that mechanic. It's also big for him because he counters specials as well, and he does damage with it. I think a lot of people maybe don't mention it, or I didn't realize at the time, but he actually does quite a bit of damage with it. You'll see in one of the clips here that I actually do quite a bit of damage with that counter. So then, when auto counter activates, he deals massive impact damage. He also randomly draws 4 new cards. If he has 3 or fewer, restores his own key. Nullifies unfavorable element factors, destroys all of your enemies' cards, which is huge. And then he also very slowly charges his special beam cannon, okay, while he's on the battlefield or while he is on standby. And the special beam cannon, I was going to say the Kamehameha, the special beam cannon is unironically the most ridiculous thing I think I've ever seen in this game. It nullifies unfavorable element factors, nullifies restore health effects, it cancels attribute upgrades, it can't be evaded, it cannot be cover changed against, and yeah, it deals supreme pierce damage, basically. And then, like, to cut a long story short, as far as I can tell, it's a one-shot kill. I've not seen anyone survive it, whether it's been used against me or I've used it against people. I've never actually seen anyone survive it. So it's as far as I can tell, a one-shot kill, and that's fine, obviously, because technically it can be evaded. So you can tap, interrupt it. The big problem is that the moment you are launched into a combo, if someone switches into Gohan and presses it, you cannot dodge it. As far as I'm aware, you cannot dodge it because you are in the frame of being pushed back, and then Gohan's ability auto cancels the dodge. So it's very easy to set up, but if you are, like, if someone just switches Gohan in and you're not currently within animation, you can tap, target, stop it. So there is like a kind of counter to it, like if someone's not using it properly. But if someone sets himself up for it, it is kind of impossible to avoid. Look, obviously, with these things, it's meant to be like that. It's meant to be this move that's really easy to utilize, that does a lot of damage. I know it sucks to have your characters one shot and everything, but it is kind of what it is. Unfortunately, it's just a very easy move to set up, and it just does a huge chunk of damage. It's really, unfortunately, kind of the design of the move. So yeah, it's pretty crazy. Right now I don't really know what the play against it is, barring if someone really just doesn't set themselves up and just kind of like lets themselves get interrupted. I mean, that's obviously a play that can work, but I don't know if that works every single time. But yeah, so it's definitely a bit rough out there, and I think that can definitely feel really unfair for a lot of players right now. At least based on like my PvP experiences and stuff like that, it definitely can feel a little bit rough at this point in time. But yeah, it is one of those things. Look, in terms of team as well, there's not a lot of restrictions on Gohan. Gohan's on a lot of really good teams. Funnily enough, finding a Son family yellow boost was actually quite difficult. So that's always interesting, when you get like a Son family, you can't find a Son family yellow boost, a really good one. But I think overall, Gohan's pretty easy to build into. What I will say is, outside of his auto counter, he's actually not that tanky. So like, if you are faced with Gohan and you can just hold him down past that initial 10 timer count, you can probably blow him up like pretty easily. So that is at least one thing that I feel makes him a lot more negotiable as a character. I'm not saying it's making him super duper simple to beat, but I do think there's at least that caveat, that protection. Like, okay, Gohan's rough, he can one-shot me, but he's not like impossible to beat. I can actually defeat him. So like, I think that's something that at least for me is appropriately, yeah, like appropriately leveled. He's tough, he's difficult to deal with, but you know, at the least, if you catch him, he can be blown up. But yeah, I think Gohan's really good. I don't think I need to tell you that.